Good evening.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
How's it going?
is it Abhi?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. First time here. I just joined a couple of days back. I'm not sure it's the right time to talk, but
Oh,
quick intro if you.
yeah, yeah. Feel free anytime. We're pretty informal.
Okay.
We go every week. If you guys have questions, be you can just jump in anytime. We once we start chatting, sometimes that just makes the direction for us.
Yeah.
But you're welcome to stop anytime. It doesn't matter if you're change topics or anything like that. It'd be
Okay.
great if you feel like letting us know, about you a little bit. Looks like Yen is here for the first time too. We have typically anywhere from on most nights 12 to 20 people, and um, we usually go for a long, long time, about 3 hours. But you can jump in and jump out as you like. You don't need to stay the whole time, but and sometimes honestly we do get off topic, but
Yeah.
that's all part of it. So welcome.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Good to know.
Where are you actually, Abby? And do you have properties already?
Yeah, I can run my intro now. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So my name is Abhi. I joined just a couple of days back. I'm based out of Austin, Texas. Just moved to Austin, Texas about 4 months back from Bay Area uh, to balance my W-2 and possibly, you know, real estate investing. I do have I don't know, two or one. So one I bought it as an investment property in Sacramento, and the second house I'm renting from last 4 months. It used to be my primary in Bay Area. So
Okay.
uh, yeah, so that's the only couple of properties I have. But yeah, looking to acquire a few properties in Austin, Texas areas, and maybe in surrounding areas as well. So yeah,
Oh, great.
uh, yeah, I changed my backyard because Zubar always tells I think he's from Bay Area too. So
Yeah.
so he's in his backyard he couldn't find, so then he has to go Fresno. I thought I would move to a lot of I see a lot of great stories, and I thought I want to make more right now. And come here maybe, and I want to choose a place where I could balance my W-2 as well as something investment journey as well. So
Yeah.
I convinced my wife, and she was like, okay. She was still hesitant and highly here.
Great. And where in the Bay Area? We live near Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay. I live in San Carlos. This is a small city right next to Redwood City.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I used to do a lot of work there in San Carlos. We used to live in Fremont. My wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Nice.
That's where I started my business. I was well, that was back in 1990, but
Okay.
we were working for one of the realty um, brokerages there at the time. It was Cornish and Carey, and kind of started out as a handyman there. But we 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 tried getting started in investing back in 2007 and jumped into it without knowing much at all, and ended up losing those properties. We went through bankruptcy and just started re-educating ourselves in 2019. So we're still fairly new, I would say, just almost 4 years into it now, but we're investing in the Midwest, Missouri and Indiana and Milwaukee, places like that. So, yeah, it's nice to hear. We have there's a few people that were from the Bay Area, but they tend to leave before I get a chance to meet them. So that that's been an issue for me.
Yeah, yeah. I hope to be back. Yeah, thanks for the intro. I hope to be back in 3 years, or that's my plan. That's the agreement with my wife. So
Yeah,
she'll be pissed off if we don't go back. We'll see if I'm able to convince her. Yeah.
yeah. No, San Carlos is beautiful, but it's super expensive anywhere in that area right now. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, all the areas like hardly any houses available as well, but yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
All old houses, like almost my house is about 80, 90 years, like still. Yeah, the area is nice. Yeah, good for a family and yeah.
Yeah, it was very nice. We moved here in 2021, so we've been here 20 plus years. But when we lived in Fremont, and Fremont has grown so much too over the last few years. Was we were talking earlier, Jack had gotten some good news. Jack, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I was having trouble getting it on mute. I finally figured out how to mute and unmute.
Oh,
But
yeah. So last
yeah,
time we
so I
were
got
talking, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I got a phone call. So for those who don't know, I'll catch you up real quick. Literally 2 or 15 days ago, uh, I filed eviction on some tenants that were 3 months behind, and it kind of led into one thing after another. That they kept saying they had the money, they weren't coming up with the money. Like I believed her, but I wasn't really believing him so much. And anyway, comes to today, she calls me, tells me, I have the money if you can meet me, at near the racetrack near where I live. I tell her, it's just like, yeah, but I don't want to necessarily meet at the racetrack. And it's like, it's not that I don't trust you or, you know, don't think you're a good person. It's like, I don't know who your friends are. And I don't know who's going to be there waiting for me. It's like, when we meet at this restaurant, she's like, that's fine. That's fine. So I go and I meet her there. She has to check for the full amount. She tells me that they're going to be out there by Sunday. Well, first she said Saturday. I just said, just take the whole weekend if you can be out by Sunday. And she tells me that she was thanking me in tears because everything's happened since I filed the eviction. That she found out that her husband stole almost like $16,000 off of her, and found out he basically had a second life and all this crazy stuff. And it kind of went spiraling out of control after I filed the eviction. And she's so glad that I filed the eviction because now she can have a clean slate and, uh, just get him out of her life and start fresh.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate story, but it sounds like it worked out well for you as far as getting some of that back rent and not having to go, I guess, all the way through the eviction, or how does that work? Are you still going to go through with it because the husband was on the lease as well?
So as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and drop the lease because I didn't put anything else on it other than late payments and this and that, but a couple other little things just to kind of help strengthen the case and getting them out. But I'm thinking about going to the magistrate office and still filing for the husband to pay me back for all the gas that he was supposed to pay me back because that's more than the rent was.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm kind of torn on if I'm going to go through with that or just strike it up as a loss and a learning experience because half of the problem I feel was my own fault. And I have multiple opportunities to correct the situation and I didn't.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of thinking about, even though it's over $3,000, just striking that up as a loss and just, I got the money for the rent. I can use it to fix up the place and get it rented back out. The other nice thing is they are rented for like $800. After I'm done with these improvements, I should get about $1,200 a month.
It wouldn't be an eviction since they're leaving.
True.
I'm just happy to get the money, and I feel like since this is my first time going through it, I was explaining to Cynthia, I was like, I feel like there's like you're driving down the road and there's like a giant landmine. You could see it coming. Like there's a magnetic force like drawing you towards it. And now finally I'm able to get around it and just deal with the stuff that's in my control.
How many years were they with you?
They were actually, believe it or not, one of my first ones that so they were with me for 4.5 years, I want to say.
Oh,
So why don't you want to go after the 3,000?
I don't know because I've moved a few times. I've lost some of the original leases and stuff, so I don't have the I'm afraid of my documentation to back up what I'm saying. So
Maybe
I
maybe
almost
she has a copy of the lease.
I could do that. Yeah, that's always an option.
The only thing is, like, I guess it would end up on both of their records. Just, you got to sue both of them. Whoever's on the lease.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest, I'm kind of just happy to get what I got, and I kind of just want to move forward.
Okay.
I think from now on, I'm gonna dot or have everything backed up on the computer, so it's a lot easier to find stuff. And here's the other thing too: is I could have not renewed a lease a long time ago and saved myself as much money that I'm out. So that's why I kind of blame myself for all this too.
So how long were you in Dell?
About 3 years.
Wow. And why is that? Late payments or?
That was from the gas, that was late payments, all that kind of stuff. I think it's because they were one of my first tenants that I was extra lenient towards them. And I can't afford to do that anymore. I have to stick by the lease. I have to not I have to stick by what it says.
Yeah,
And
you have to file. You have to file as soon as you have the ability to.
yeah,
Whatever it is, 1 month, 2 month behind.
yeah, I filed at the 2 month and it finished up in the third month and I'm lucky. I feel like I'm lucky to get that.
Well, that's not bad. You had them for 4.5 years, so.
Yeah.
Where is it located?
Excuse me. I'm about 30 miles north of Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm fixing up my commercial property in Detroit, Michigan, and it's about I got a 4 unit building, and the building next to it is a 1 unit, 2,000 square feet, and the 4 unit is about 4,000 total square feet. So I'm putting in HVAC in to the 4 units plus the one next door, and it's gonna be about $10,000 each to do the ductwork plus the HVAC for each of the units. So anyways, I got a payment for I was buying the non-performing loans, and so one of them for St. Paul, she decided to sell her house for 87,000. She made about 22 off of it. The city's charging like 6,000 a year for vacancy plus the property tax. So there was like 2 years right there. So about 12,000 the city made off of it. And she got 22 net. And I got paid off on my loan on the property, which I held, which is about 51,000. And this is I think I got the loan in 2018, bought it in about 2018. So it's finally paid off. I think I bought the loan for about 30,000, And then she was paying a little bit here and there, so I probably made like 5,000 on top of that. So I netted probably about 20,000, I want to say, over 6 years. And I didn't want to touch the property. I didn't want to foreclose because it was St. Paul. And they treat the residents a lot better than a corporation. So I just left it at that. And she's a police officer in Chicago, so I guess she moved out. So it's a win for me. So I'm gonna use that money to pay off the HVAC installation, and then it'd be up and running. And already have 2 or 3 people ready to sign. I don't want to sign them yet until I finish everything. And so for the 4 unit, it's about 1,000 square feet each unit. And I'll be getting about 1,600 total, including triple net. But the property tax is about 400 a month for the whole place. about 4 to 5,000 a year on that building. So it's about 400 a month. So $100 each unit. So yeah, you figure $1 a square foot. So about 600 I can play with there, and 5. So it's like a hookah, not a hookah. I guess it's like a hookah cigar place. One of the units, and they might get the one next door too. And then there's gonna be like a tax accountant office for one of them. So there's like 3 units leased out of the 4. So as soon as I'm ready, I can get everybody in there. The hookah guy wants to do like 10 years with 5% every year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, sounds like that would work out nice.
And the one that's 2,000 square feet, he has somebody else looking at that one too. That's probably gonna be the first one that's actually gonna get fixed up. It's the least amount of work. So we're trying to finish up this month so we can get people in by the 1st of the month. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it was a lot of work. I mean, we have to do like 4 for all the utilities, all 4 units. It's like you got to do a new gas meter, you got to do a new water meter, and a new electric meter for all 4. The electric is still on standby because we're just going to use 1 meter now for all the units for now. The weird thing is, like, it's a really old unit, so the company can't they can't charge anything. They can't charge for the electricity that's being used through it right now. So we're just going to leave 1 until people move in. Then we'll do the new meters for the electric.
And you said that was in Detroit?
Yeah.
You mentioned a few meetings ago that you were getting out of residential. Do you have any residential left?
I got one that's rented out for 1,300 in Detroit. So yeah, it's been rented out 1,300. Yeah, so I'm just keeping it as long as it's being rented out. And there's some issues with that, like it was a husband and wife, and the wife got into an accident and they stopped paying. And then eventually the lawyer called my property manager and told him what happened. So this was back in October. And so in December, we're supposed to get all the payments they're behind out of their settlement. So yeah, it's starting to, over time, like they were pretty good about paying this is like their 2nd year, I believe. So the first year they were pretty good, and then the 2nd year they started to stumble a little, like they're a little bit late here and there. And so, but recently it's just like they haven't paid for 3 months now. So yeah. Oh, the other one I got actually another unit in another building in Detroit that's commercial, and that's like 2,000 square foot, one unit, one building, and the guy's already like late. He's like 1 or 2 months late in paying, and that just made me so angry. Um, so and then the lawyer sent a letter out to him saying you got to pay now. So I don't know exactly what the you know how long I have to wait to do stuff, but I've bought insurance. I'm going to buy insurance for the building, so he's going to have to buy insurance. So he's going to have 30 days to come up with the insurance for his place. And so if he doesn't, then we'll just kick him out. I don't know if it goes in the record. I don't think it goes onto the credit record, but I wish it did.
Yeah, so you haven't gone through any commercial evictions, you mean?
Not yet, not yet. But I'd rather just kick the guy out. I don't want to deal with late payments.
Mhm.
Yeah, by month or two. And the thing is like the late payment is $75.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's nothing.
Yeah. Why they, at least for commercial, I don't know if there's laws that restrict the amount you can charge for late payments or late fees. I know for residential, it's very restricted.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We put a new roof in onto on that property. Um, so all the fix up and stuff, I can, worst case, I can sell that building for a lot more than what I put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I put about 150 into it, and I think I can sell it for 200. But we'll see. I'm getting 2,000 plus another 500-ish a month for the triple net, which covers the property tax. It's really weird. That building, the property tax is like $4,000 a year
Yeah.
on a 2,000 square foot property.
That's a lot smaller than your other one, yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. And so for that, I gotta, he's got to pay up that, and then it's like 2,700 or 2,800 for the my insurance on it. So he pays about 100 off of it. So I get charged. I put in about 200 into that property every month out of my pocket. So that's how it works.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he's like a younger guy in his 20s.
What kind of business did he have?
It's a media company. He does streaming.
Okay.
He's got the equipment to have a studio, and then he rents, like he gets people in to do live streams from there. I mean, he's been doing it like elsewhere before he rented this place.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's got income. He's making 100 to 200 a year previous to him renting this place.
Hmm.
So he's got income. But he's coming up with excuses. My property manager tells me he's coming up with these excuses not to pay on. The roof is leaking, or there's some,
Oh.
minor issues here and there. But it's like it doesn't matter. You still got to pay rent.
Yeah. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, he's just a younger guy that. Yeah, I'm not gonna renew the lease with him.
Yeah.
No way. He's got to go.
Is it ending soon anyway?
No, he's like into the fourth month of the year, the yearly lease. So he's fourth or fifth month now. So,
Hmm.
yeah. I did get the first, last, and the deposit from him. And then I'm fixing up my Jackson, Mississippi home with the property manager. It's costing me 10,000 to put in a roof for a 1,400 square foot house over there.
Mm.
And then he's gonna come up with the interior and exterior. The the property manager, they do their own fixing up, so he's got his own in staff in-house people to do everything, including the roof. But even then, it sounds expensive. 10,000 for a roof. But he's replacing the wood underneath too, but still a lot of money for Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah, it seems they vary quite a bit because I've mentioned to you guys that on our 3-1, the homes are around 1,000 to 1,200 square feet, and there for a new roof without any dry rot work was $4,000. And then I had mentioned that to our property manager in Indiana, and there it's like double, it's 8,000. So yeah, it varies a lot around the country.
Mhm.
And then it really adds up when they do have to replace any of the decking or any joists or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised it's so high in Jackson, Mississippi. In Mississippi,
Yeah.
that's a rough place. So, I mean, I guess I could fix it up and sell it. It's my other option. But I think this property manager, I'm supposed to get a 1,100 rent off of it.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
And is that a 3-1?
Yeah. I need to chop down the trees around it. That's
Mhm.
going to cost me money.
How did you find that one?
Sorry.
I got a lot of in 2018-ish. I bought a lot of non-performing loans.
Oh,
And
okay.
so for this one, this lady, she did a quick claim and moved out of the house. And I had it fixed up in 2018, 2019. I put in like 30,000 into it. And now I gotta do it all over again.
Mhm.
They didn't do anything proper. So I gotta go back in and fix everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Lesson learned, I should have just like sold it as is
Mhm.
instead of renting these out. Especially with a one bathroom, those are pain.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
But
always
it's a
learning.
learning opportunity, and then you learn not to do it again.
Right. Yeah, there's so much learning. We're still learning a lot. Anna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Did you? I remember you had one property in Jackson, Mississippi. Um, did you live there or
No,
how did
I've
you?
only lived in the Los Angeles area where I'm at. I've never flown or
Uh,
gone to see the properties except two that I had. I had a trip with the group out to Detroit in 2018. I did purchase.
yeah.
I got the loans, the non-performing loans on two of them, one in East Point and one in the one that I have right now, Coily. So I did see those two properties.
Mhm.
I bid on like six of them, but I was able to only get two. Um, so yeah, though that was painful also. There's a lot of fraud that happened in terms of hiring people and fixing them up.
Yeah.
So but yeah, now it's the one I have in Detroit is pretty stable since I have a good property manager that's also taking care of my fixing up my commercial over there.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm probably gonna put in about I want to say 350, and then it should be worth $500,000 after that.
Okay. Uh, so the one in Jackson, Mississippi. I mean, what part of Jackson is it in?
Um, I don't know the area. It's you can look it up, 522 Wellington Road.
Okay. I also wondered, you said you're gonna go ahead and sell it. How's the market going there nowadays? I mean, is it
You have what?
how's your market? I mean, is it
How's the market?
selling? Yeah, is it
Um,
selling pretty good or I
I
mean,
would think it's good because I mean when I look on the map, Whole Foods is like a mile away.
mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Um, but
Just
I don't
wondering.
know. It's the trouble with that place is the workers. They're just terrible. So I did find this property manager from
Mm-hmm.
school Orat. I was just I looked up people by Mississippi and I found this guy whose dad had
Yeah,
properties there in Mississippi. So he
yeah,
did recommend this property manager.
I see.
So going off of that right now.
I'm from Mississippi, and I
You
have my
are
folks. Yeah, I still live there. I live in Washington, but I grew up there, and I
Jackson?
never. No, I'm from Boonville. Boonville, Mississippi is like a little bit north of Hello, so maybe just a few hours, maybe two
Oh,
and a half hours from
okay.
where we. But I never thought about investing in there. I'm investing in Alabama, so just wondered how people do in Jackson. I mean, my nephew and nieces, they don't live in Jackson. They will live away from Jackson, even though they make, I mean, there are a lot of jobs up there. Just wondered how that, I mean, I would love to invest in Mississippi, but yeah, I, I just don't know how you're doing it.
I guess you got to find a good property manager. That's the key. And I've had like until like the last 2 3 months, I've just had trouble with that
Mhm.
place, and I kept the renters in there, even though the last 3 4 months they were late. Like they didn't pay anything for the last 3 4 months, and
Yeah,
now the electricity was in my name, which they were paying, and now I got to pay the electricity off and the
yeah.
yeah. So there's some you know fallout from that because I didn't have a
Mhm.
property manager or I couldn't find anybody to take care of the place until recently.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
finally got the property manager and then I threatened them with a eviction but they left on their own.
I see. Yeah,
So
that's good. I'm glad that they did it for you. Goodness. Yeah. Hmm. I was curious.
but
Ah,
I did get I want to say since 2020 they were there, so I got about 4 years of rental payments from them for $800 a month.
yeah.
The only damn thing is like the property taxes are like 2,000 a year, I
Yeah.
believe.
It's a
So
little bit more expensive than Alabama or Tennessee, is what I just know
yeah,
of. So,
and I would assume the workers are cheaper, but they're not. They're everybody everywhere is charging the same, it seems.
mm, I see. Yeah, if you hire somebody, a lot of people, yeah, I just do it with their uncles and, brothers and things like that. That's how they do their business there. So
Well,
it's
that's great if you have family, but these are all
I might, yeah, yeah,
everything I have to pay is retail.
yeah. Well, Jackson's not bad. I mean, it's big, so you can probably have a multiple property managers out there. I mean, I wouldn't.
Um,
Really-
yeah, it's just gonna be one, and then I try to recoup my money that I'm gonna put in. Start to the roof with 10,000, and then probably it's another 10 15,000 to fix up everything.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's like a 2 year, 2.5 year return right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that um you are closing the deal there and we can sell it. Yeah. Keep us
Yeah,
updated.
I'm
Yeah.
just,
Well.
I'd be happy to sell it because I'm just focusing on commercial now. So I
Yeah.
could probably get for probably I don't know, it's probably worth 180 to 100,000. So I can probably if I sell it, I can get that and then put that into
Yeah.
another commercial building in Detroit.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes with the
Yeah.
commercial.
Okay. Well,
Especially with
that's
the
good.
I really like the 10 year lease.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Those are great.
I get
So
you.
yeah,
It must be nice.
the tax preparer is only 1 year. So eventually, I'm just not going to do 1 year. I'm just going to do 3 to 5 year leases on those.
Mhm. Yeah. Good. Oh, that's good. I consider myself being in the South. So, you know, just very curious what was going on. Thank
Must have
you.
been friendlier down south.
But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's less friendly on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, I it's 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 good both ways.
Uh-huh.
I enjoy living in there when I go there. So yeah.
The best one I had was in North Carolina with the property manager. I really lucked out. And both of these places like Jackson and Monroe, North Carolina, the property manager's office is like a mile away from the property. So very close to them. And so with the one in North Carolina, the accounting on that is I think I got it for like 25,000, the loan and I did I had to do a eviction on that or a foreclosure and then eviction on that one. Um and then um and then the property manager took it over, fixed it up, and I probably put about 20,000 into it. 15, 20. It was a lot less than on my other properties. And since then, I was started out with $800 and right now it's 1,100. So, but I've only had about 3, 4 months where it's been down and between tenants, and then we have to fix it up a little. So I want to say really like 3 months most where it's been offline since 2020-ish, I want to say. And so about 50,000 that I put into it. I want to say 50,000. I've been, getting all this rent since then. And I'm probably netting on average every year about 70% on that one, on the $800 and now 1,100
I
or
see.
1,200. I think it's no, it's 1,100. Yeah.
Hmm,
Yeah, and the property taxes are under 1,000 on that one per year.
I see.
Great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
So you,
that's a gold mine for me.
yeah, you like Detroit market rather than better than
I like the property manager. I trust the property manager. He lives close by to me here in
yeah,
LA. Not close by, but he's available.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I've
It
met
does
him and
make a big,
everything. Yeah, I met
yeah.
him. He's like my friend now, so he takes good care
Good.
of my stuff
That's
like
good.
it's his own. So
Yeah.
he really looks after the pricing and all that, and he likes doing it too. He likes doing the projects like fixing it up and but it's also beneficial to him because uh, he has his mom's properties that he takes care of in Detroit, commercial and residential. Plus, he's got his own residential there. So it's a network of workers and contractors that he's familiar with,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why I picked Detroit to invest in. It's because of him.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Thank you.
There's quite a bit of overhead though, because I got to pay him 10% of whatever he's doing, plus the general contractor that he hires, that's probably another 20% right there. So there's about a 30% overhead in whatever I'm doing over there. But it's pretty stable. There's no fraud involved, and so things just get done. And yeah, so that's what I like about it.
How many markets are you in, Mitesh?
I used to be a lot more. I sold off all my homes, and then people paid me off too on their loans. So in the last 2, 3 years, I got paid on, I want to say four of my properties. That's a cool thing about the non-performing. You just sit there with a lien, and they got to pay you eventually. Um, and so I got one in Vegas. I had my first home, and I got that in 2012 when it was like at the bottom. That was a cool property, and that was built in 2000. 2007 or 2008, and it was a 2012. So it's a brand new property, really, that I bought in 2012, and then I went to the Midwest to buy stuff because the properties were so cheap, and the percentage return was a lot higher, which was not. You know what I should have done was I should have bought more expensive homes, so I don't have to deal with so many properties. But I was in I had one in Des Moines, Iowa, which I reoed. I foreclosed and then I reoed that one, and then it was seller financed, and then I had one in Salisbury, North Carolina, which I also I did a foreclosure and then seller financing on that one for 30, let's say 15 years on a 10% or 9% loan, which has been perfect, like no missed payments there. So I still hold the note on that one, and then so I put in probably of that. I sold it for 59,000, and then I'm making 10% on top of that. But I think I put about 40,000 into that one. And what's next? So East Point, Michigan, that was my terrible one. I sold that one, and then I put my money into the commercial there. That one was crazy. I probably lost money on that one. And then the worst one was St. Paul, Minnesota, which I sold the property for 247 or 241 or something like that. But I lost money on that one. It turned out like 270 was my it was that bad. Like the city was that bad with me that I had to like hire local contractors, which charge a lot. And then it was like 120,000 I put into it to fix it up. So by the time everything was paid, it was like my costs were like 270 on a 241 property.
So you buy liens and tax sales and then foreclose on them and then decide what to do with the property?
No, they're not tax sales. They're just non-performing. So these there were a lot of hedge funds that had these properties. And they were non-performing loans. So they would just get rid of the loans for 40%, 40% of the amount on the loan.
How do you find these properties non-conforming?
It was a broker that was selling these non-performing loans, but I suggest not doing it because it's just like it takes 2 years before you get hold of the property just because of the foreclosure process. It takes like 6 months, and then you gotta like hire a lawyer to do that, and then you gotta hire a lawyer to do the eviction, which is another 2-3 months. So, and plus then they're not paying anything, and they're not paying the property taxes, and it's not a good property by the time you get it. And so then you got to spend time to fix it up, and then by the time you fix it up, it's been 2 years, and then you spent as much as just buying it off the market. So
What's
I would
your
not
goal?
suggest non-performing loans,
Okay.
doing it that way.
What's
Just
your
buy
goal
it,
now? Do you want to continue on buying more commercial in Detroit or?
Yeah, I'm all focused on commercial now.
Okay.
Commercial Detroit. Yeah, that's all I'm focused on. There's a unit right next to me that's owned by the city. So eventually we're in the process of grabbing it for 10,000 hopefully. And then we'll fix that one up, and then we'll get that one rented for 1,500-1,600 a month. There's also land, there's plots, land also owned by city of Detroit all around there. So I might start grabbing the land. It's like $100. But in order for you to buy the land, you have to be adjacent to it. So which I am. Also with the unit, you have to be adjacent to it, which I am. So I get I get dibs on it.
Awesome. I think I heard Ashley Hamilton and Bigger Pockets also do the same strategy, buying houses and then buying the land next to her houses.
Yeah, that's good because then you have a set of workers you can go to. You don't have to, and then you also get like volume too, because then you're working with 3 houses instead of 1. It's really about volume. I think it's about volume. If you get to like 10 homes or 10 properties, then you can just like hire somebody full time to do most of the repairs at a lot less cost. Because a mom and pop 1 unit, forget it. It's so expensive to do repairs unless you do them yourself. And that's why I sold my home, because the repairs were just excessive and frustrating. Like for Jackson, Mississippi, we had to run a wire, a Romex from the box to the kitchen, and that cost me like $600 just for 1 Romex.
Was there was there patching and stuff involved after they ran the wire?
Not really. The outlet was already there. They just they needed to run a new wire because the guys that I paid to fix up the house, they did like a Y junction with an existing wire, and so it was all screwy. So we had to run a new wire to get to the range.
Hmm.
Everything was electric in that house, but it's like 600 for like Romex for like probably an hour's worth of work. No, there was nothing. There was no drilling or anything. It was just like running cable underneath the house and then up through the wall.
Yeah.
So this is just frustrating. Expenses like that you can't make money off something like that if that keeps happening.
Hmm.
I mean, it was something that a handyman could do. If I could find the right handyman, they could just run the Romex. It's not rocket science. And for 2 hours worth of work, $50 an hour, $100 is what I thought it should have cost.
Hmm.
Right. So just these little things. It's just, and that's why you have to have a good property manager too, because a handyman can do that stuff. I mean, a good property manager would have the handyman do that kind of stuff for you, and then
Yeah.
you won't be charged as much.
Hmm.
Anyways,
Hey, Michael, it's good to see you. How's everything going for you? Have you made your move yet?
Yeah, moved in. Been doing minor things on repairs and had it cleaned. Talked to a leasing agent today. There's a little bit of carpeting they said needs to be a little bit cleaner, so I'm gonna go this weekend with a steam cleaner and clean that. And then she thinks I could probably get $1,550 for it. So, which is good because I got it before everything exploded in 2020.
Mhm.
And so with a little bit of luck, hopefully it'll be on the market by the end of next week. Definitely within 2 weeks, and then just however long it takes to find somebody.
Great. And you said that was a condo or a townhouse?
It's a townhouse.
Okay. Is that rent what you were thinking?
I was hoping for 16, so I'm not going to lose sleep over $50 less. If anything lower than that, I was going to be like, that's wrong, because that's not what it would be rentable for.
Hmm.
16 was my fingers crossed, hopeful number, but I was like 15 would be, I could sleep with that. So
Yeah. And remind me, where again is the townhouse?
It's in North Carolina.
What part?
It's Winston-Salem.
Well, that's good. It sounds like your plan's working.
So far, it's taken a little bit longer than I'd hoped for because it's just you go in there, you spend a day cleaning it out, and you're like, oh, there's the weekend gone. Let me do it again next week. But
Is that
Um,
like you? Do you live local to it?
yeah, I was living in it for the last 4 years. And then it's one of those where wallet was getting a little bit tight, and it's like you can move back home if you want to. And I was like, well, then I could rent this place out, so that would make my wallet a little looser and kind of was like a good way to jumpstart investing because then I'll be able to just pretty much take all of that. I'll have less bills because I'm living here, and then I can just put that towards buying another property somewhere.
Did you have, is there still a mortgage on that?
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's probably about 25 years left on it,
Okay,
26.
so the 1550 pays that and gives you some positive cash flow?
Yeah. I will be surprised if I ever get a deal as good as this one because I did the math. It's something like a 30% return.
Nice.
Because I got it as like a conventional loan when it was like 2.5% when all those crazy low loans, and then I lived in it, and then the real estate market blew up, and then so like it is doubled in what it's worth, and then the rent came up with it, and it's like, oh, okay, let me do that a couple more times, even though I don't know how I did that. I pretty much all luck.
That's great. That's a great start.
Yeah, I noticed on my Monroe, North Carolina property, that was the first to have a rent increase. It went from 800 to 1100, like really quick.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even know. I wouldn't be able to probably buy it now for what it inflated into.
Yeah, it's like it went up like I want to say 3x, really.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Hey, Sean, are you there? How you doing?
I am.
How are things with you? In the middle of an eviction, I think.
Yeah, I've got multiple REI issues going on this week. It's a non-passive month for me.
I've had like 4 of those in a row, so let's hear it.
Yeah. So one thing, about an hour before I got on, I got a text from one tenant that said, "Hey, we don't have any hot water." And interestingly enough, I replaced their hot water heater last December, so it's about a year old.
Mm.
And rather than getting it repaired, I thought, well, just replace it and then I'll be good for several years. And the heating element in that thing died in about August, and they actually came out and replaced the heating element for free. And now they're telling me they don't have hot water again. So I asked them to check the breaker and ask them, hey, did you guys run the dishwasher or the washing machine or take a bath or anything and use up all the water? So I'm trying to see that before I call the plumber.
Is that
Well, if it's a heating element, it's going to be inexpensive.
Is it electric, I guess?
Yes, electric.
Mhm.
The heating element is like $50.
Yeah, that's what they had to replace last time. Interestingly enough, the tenants were complaining that the water was not staying hot long enough. Like, the lady that lives there would run a bath and she would run out of hot water. And a plumber told me, yeah, one of your heating elements is probably bad. And I told them that. They said it wasn't, but eventually they agreed that it was. It's a long story, but they they eventually replaced it. So I don't know. This is like a new A.O. Smith water heater from Lowe's with a warranty. So I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with it, but
Yeah, and they have two heating elements, right?
yeah, one in the top and one in the bottom. And
Uh-huh.
before I think it was the one on the bottom.
That's odd. A.O. Smith is a decent brand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean it's not killer, but it's not. I mean it should last a year. You know, I'm just surprised. You know, I guess there are coincidences because the other one went bad last year, right? And what I was thinking that it was I know, you know, last year in December we had a little cold snap in Georgia also. And what I was thinking that it was it's like a 40-gallon water heater. And this unit has a really big, like a walk-in tub. And the lady that lives there likes to take, you know, like bubble baths all the time.
Hmm.
And they pay their own water. But so what I was thinking is you know, like, well, maybe she's like running the dishwasher and then filling up the bathtub, or her husband's going to take a shower and they're running out of water and everything. But she said, no, I can come home from work. No, you know, nobody's been using the water and it still runs out. But anyway, I don't know that that's the case this time, but so that's my water heater issue.
Is
I'll
it 40 gallons or 50 gallons?
Yeah, it's a 40. It's a low crawl space. If I had it
Oh,
if I had it to do over again, there was a 40 in there. So I just replaced it with a 40. If I had it to do over again, I might try to get one of the wider 50s to get 10 more gallons.
yeah,
But
I would do 50 because it's only like a little bit more. It's only a little bit more expensive.
yeah.
Do you
Well,
have
I
the
just
do you have
bought
the
it last year, so I'm hoping to get about 7 to 10 years out of it.
well, they have the 10-year. They have the 10-year one. It's a little bit more expensive. Did you get the fat boy or you got the tall one?
It wasn't the Fat Boy. It's a 40-gallon water tank.
It's a regular tall one.
Yeah, and then
Because
the
you can get the fat
unit
one.
next door, I've got a 70-gallon in that one, like a big stand up one. Because they got a lot of room where that water heater is. So
Mm-hmm. Well, you get the fat ones, but then you have to re-pipe everything.
yeah, and then I had I would be interested in getting some other investors' take on this. So I had one of my tenants call that he's been paying pretty good for like a year, and he ran into some problems with his job, and you know, long story, but because of another deal we had, we were able to work some things out. But he's like, "Hey, I want to start paying you, but I want to start paying you like, you know, every 2 weeks instead of every month." And I'm like, okay. And I use Baselane property management software, but they only, you know, collect once a week, or excuse me, once a month. They don't have a way to do like split payments. You like put in how much they owe per month, and they try to automate it, right? So I'm trying to come up with a good way to do this, because what he actually told me is it would be better for me to pay that way, because you know I'll be sure that I have it. And I'm like, well, you know, I'll be all for cooperating with that. So what I'm thinking of doing is automating, since I can only do the monthly payment. I'm thinking of doing an automated payment for part on the month, and then like sending him an invoice through Baselane for the rest of it or something. I don't know. I'll have to play around with it. But if anyone's got any ideas on that, that would be a
They might
welcome.
have an option for bi-monthly payments.
What's that?
They might have an option for bi-monthly payments in there.
Yeah, this software doesn't. That's what they said. That they said they have it in their backlog and they're working on it
Oh,
to do partial payments. But
so
yeah,
can they do partial payments at all?
no, I mean, not through their the rent collection that comes with the software is like ACH, and they agree to it, and it just bank drafts them once a month.
I'm wondering if you can make two properties from there and then they would have to pay for each one.
Yeah, probably could. That might be a way to do it.
Like do like a extra like pound A or pound 1 unit or pound 2 unit or something like that.
That's good. That's a good idea.
I use a software that will take ACH, debit and credit cards, and basically an ePay platform.
right.
And you can set up a monthly rent payment, but you can also set up additional payments.
Mhm.
So what I would probably do if I had to use my platform for that is I
Yeah.
would set up the monthly rent for let's say the 15th. And then I would
Mhm.
set up a non-rent, like an additional just monthly fee that is
Yeah.
equivalent to the rest of the rent due on the first every month. And
Yeah.
then they could, I bet you that would work. I mean, I haven't tried it because I haven't had this issue, but the platform
That
I'm
was
using
exactly
is,
what I was thinking about doing.
yeah.
You
Oh,
can't
great.
automate it, but you can go in and, like I could make, I mean, it'd be a pain to go in and put in 12 payments, but I could do it.
Yeah, but
So,
that's what I'm saying is the platform I'm using, it's all automated.
mhm.
Once it's set it and forget it. So if you really wanted to be super lazy and passive, I think my platform could do it, and the one I use is free as well. So you could just for payments alone, you could bolt that on.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's not going to integrate with whatever you're already systemizing, but it would collect the money for you.
Interesting. What package do you use?
It's Zebo. They actually spell it. They changed the name slightly, so it's now Zebo. So it's AZIBO.
Okay.
So you just go to Zebo.com or Azebo.com. You sign up for free. You can set up the payments. Basically, the way they make money is through add-ons, and then if the renter, if the tenant opts to pay via credit card or whatever, they make the fees and stuff. It's basically a
Right.
glorified skin for Square or Stripe or one of those payment
Gotcha.
systems. But it's been working. It's fairly new, and they keep adding bells and whistles and fixing bugs and making it better and better. So I've been pretty
That's kind of
happy.
the same way Baseline's been working. It was new software when I got it. I really like their bookkeeping. I'm finding it pretty cool, and the way you can set up multiple accounts and stuff. But
So the only thing, okay, just to clarify, the only thing that you're telling me you can't do with your current software is you can't set up two payments in any particular month on specific day or specific days of the month in an automated fashion. That it will not do.
correct. I can set up like monthly rent, and then I could go in and I could create what they call it a collection invoice. You
Yep.
could go in and you could set up one, like I could set up one every month for the rest of the rent, kind of like you were talking about. Just do it 12
Right.
times, have one automated for half, and then another for half, something like that. I think
Do you
that's
think
probably
this
the
guy's
way
gonna
I'll end up
have
doing it.
to? Do you think that tenant's gonna have to do it that way forever, and they're just not that responsible, or that this is like a temporary thing, and eventually they'll be in good enough shape to just pay once a month?
Right. I think he'll get out of it because, without going into too much detail, he had a higher paying job and then like lost his job and kind of got
Right.
into trouble and kind of took a lower paying job, but he's kind of recovering now. So he'll probably eventually get out of it.
Yeah, maybe the simplest solution is you take 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it takes and just pound those into your software manually, set up those
Yeah.
12 payments, and then, fingers crossed at the end of that 12-month period, this guy's going to be back on top of things, and there's going to be no need for that.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. And yeah, he's pretty responsible. He actually even offered to like drive over to my house and like pay me in cash. So that's
Not bad.
Yeah,
Take it.
Yeah, you take it any way you
You can get it, right?
exactly.
By the way, while we're talking about water heaters, I have a water heater question slash dilemma if you guys are up for it.
Yep, of course.
As long as we got Frank here.
so
So I'm not sure if I may have shared this before, but I have a quad, and evidently all of our units have tankless water heaters in them. We're just discovering this after owning it for years, so that just shows how responsible we've been. But so one of them went out, and it's an 8-year-old unit. The motherboard died, evidently.
and
So
we
went ahead and had it replaced. We found a local guy who gave us I think a pretty good deal. It was about $1,100 to replace it, parts and labor. So we were pretty happy with that, considering our fancy plumber wanted like $3,000 for basically the same outcome. So felt good about that. But I started to geek out on, okay, we've got 4 of these units, one in, four of these water heaters, one in each unit. And if they're going to go out every, 8 years, 6 years, 10 years, whatever, that's $1,000 every time it happens, if not more, due to inflation. So that's a substantial bleed on our on our income and our profitability. So I started thinking, well, how can we extend the life of these tankless units? Research seemed to point to you can either flush them every year, you can install a filtration system that makes it so the scaling that typically would take these things out is very reduced, because the filter makes it so the water is not so bad. And then the third option was install water softeners. So, because basically the upshot was, like, in our part of the country, our water is really hard water. It's horrible water. And so even though these tankless units are supposed to last 15 years, supposed to be better than, tank water heaters in terms of the life cycle, the longevity, because our water is so hard, if we don't do these measures, they don't last very long. They could last 5 to 10 years. So just as bad as a tank water heater, but extra expense, because these are not as cheap to service, to switch out, etc. So those are the 3 options that I discovered. The guy that swapped it out, he said he would install a filtration unit, but it's going to be like $1,000, which is just about the same money that it costs to just swap out the entire water heater. That seemed a bit rich. And so I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's realistic in terms of extending the life of these units. And those 3 options evidently only attend to the scaling, like the internal, the way the water interacts with the unit. And after conversing with this water heater guy, he seemed to indicate that the reason why these motherboards go out is due to power outages and power surges, and we should probably get an electrician in there to make sure that circuit is guarded against surges, since the motherboards might be very sensitive to that. And in our part of the country, we get a lot of storms, so that surge issue could be a major issue for our for some fancy technology like a tankless water heater as well. So
Yeah,
running
the
the
motherboard-
numbers, it just seems like flushing it might make the most sense, other than dealing with the electric side of things. So yeah, and this is all new to me, so I'm totally green. This is as much as I know.
The motherboard going out has nothing to do with the hardness of the water.
No, that's not what he said. He said it has to do with power surges.
Yeah. So
That
you
when you
could
have repeated
you could
power surges, it can eventually whack out your motherboard.
yeah, you just put like a surge protector in between. Just
So that should be pretty inexpensive to do on a per unit basis, shouldn't it?
yeah,
I
I mean
would,
I don't know exactly, but you know, like even like the regular standard, the 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 strips, power strips, they have surge protection in them.
Right.
So it's just a matter, you just need to figure out exactly how much you need and how
Okay.
well of a surge protection do you need, but it should be $50, something like that, that goes in between
Right.
the plug and the wall.
Okay. All right.
So I'll work with that I'll work with that. That sounds cheap enough. And then now again, that happened to this unit, but considering like we thought it might have been the scaling and that, but it wasn't with this particular unit. But again, from the research I did, it does seem like that is a major reduction of the lifespan of the units with in an area like I'm in, which
Yeah,
is, very hard water.
that's going to be true for all of your electronics in the house. Um, the water softener, you got to pay for whatever the powder or whatever it is, you got to pay for that, and that's not cheap either.
Right.
and somebody has to maintain that by filling it. Um, and it doesn't seem like flushing it out isn't the same thing like it is on a tank water heater, right? Because all that stuff settles in the bottom of the tank, and that's what causes issues. So you can flush that out to extend the life of a regular water heater, but I I don't know if it has an opportunity to settle in a tankless because that's all really just tubing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the rumor is that e that can that regardless of the sediment settling, which it, like you said, it probably doesn't do. I think they call it scaling, which
Mhm.
is hard water as it runs through those fine tubes. Um, Somehow there's some kind of precipitate that adheres, I guess,
Mhm.
to the tubing on the inside, and so over time it scales, which can initially reduce the performance because obviously it's a smaller tube then, like
Right.
Arterial sclerosis on the tubing, and then eventually can kill the unit. So the flushing is supposed to, like, I watched videos of it, and basically they put some kind of caustic liquid through the unit. They run it through for like a half hour to an hour, and that's supposed to clean out any of the scale that crops up. But that's not a handyman job exactly. That's somebody who knows how to flush a unit. And the pricing I'm getting on that so far is about 150 per flush. And if we got to do that every year, well, that's gonna add up for 4 units over a period of years just to extend the life of these units. So I'm thinking, is that the best approach, or do I have to pay $1,000 per unit to get a filter, uh, and then swap out filters? Because, well, yeah, I start saving money off of flushing at year 6, but that's a 6-year ROI. That's not, I don't like that either. So just trying to figure out like what's realistic and then what's cheap.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a couple of issues to work against there. Michelle had said her plumber suggested that they install a flush valve as well. But like you said, when you flush them, depending where they're at in the house, you need to have some place to flush to. If it's, say, in a laundry room and there's a laundry sink or something right next to it, then you could do it conveniently that way. But if there's not, and you have to get it to the exterior of the home somehow. That could be a challenge.
You just evidently, I mean, I watched the videos on it. Evidently, you just use a bucket. You fill the bucket with water,
Mhm.
and then feed the solution into the bucket or something. So you basically you just need to have like the guy that installed this new one, he installed the isolation valves. So he's like, look, now that you got these isolation valves, it's going to be fairly easy to flush it. So I guess if I really wanted to be cheap, I could find some handyman or some handyman that's willing to be trained to teach, be like, okay, you go ahead and flush these units every year and try to get a cheaper rate on that, because it takes like an hour. It's not a super time consuming thing, but the easy way out, if we want to approach this using the flush strategy, would be just pay somebody who does that as a service, but that's probably going to be a little bit of a premium. Like I said, the guy I saw was $150 per flush, basically. So that's basically an annual practice if we don't have any water softeners, filtration, any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and even with filtration, if the water's like you say, there's no telling how soon the filter would get clogged or full either.
The guy said that we have to swap out the filter annually.
Hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out. I'm asking him how much that is right now. See what that's going to be. But even
big projects.
even without the cost of the annual filter swap, $1,000 for a filter is a lot of money, considering that it's only $150 a year to flush it. It almost seems like it's like, screw the filter, just flush the damn thing each year, and play it simple.
Yeah, because there's other things that can go wrong with it.
Yeah, that too.
I do some work with water treatment. Did they say what type of filters that you needed? Was it like carbon block or micron filters, sediment filters?
Yeah, I could tell you exactly, because he just sent me the estimate, and so I'm pulling it up as we speak. He said it's 3-stage, 1 micron, 25 micron carbon filters. Yeah.
Okay. Was it a reverse osmosis system, like a home RO?
I doubt it.
Okay.
This one doesn't sound. This does not sound that serious. I mean, it's a $600 filter system. It says 3-stage filter system with cartridges and stainless steel bracket and fittings, blah blah blah. Connects to incoming water line.
Yeah, I think you could possibly do that on your own if you just picked up, because they sell all this stuff on Amazon. You can get the Amatec housings. I don't know if they're quoting you for the 10-inch or the 20-inch, but they have all different sizes. There's the 10-inch, the 20-inch, and then the big blues. I think those are the largest. But yeah, we like going with, I think for homes, like, because we mostly do commercial. So for homes, if you're in that 1 to 5 micron range, you're pretty much set. And then you want to have the carbon to remove the odor in the water. And then if you had a softener in place too, you pretty much, it's that resin inside, that cation resin. And then I think you just need to redo that every couple years. But then you just got to buy the bags of salt, and we just buy the bags of salt from Amazon, from Home Depot. Those are like $8 for a 40-pound bag. And with that brine tank in the home, as long as in that brine tank you're pretty much a foot from the base of the tank, that's considered full, because you just need that water to soak in the salt, and then the softener will suck up that briny water just to keep it softened at, I guess, intervals of its washing cycle.
So what you're saying is, if we want to try to avoid these units getting too much scale too fast, is that we install a filter and water softener So those are two separate solutions, right?
Yeah, and I think if you just bought the parts yourself and you talk to a plumber, just say, could you just hook this up for me? Then if you could just get all the stuff off of Amazon and it's pretty cheap. I think 600 is a little bit overkill. Especially for stainless steel, I don't know if you would need that. If
Right.
you just looked up, yeah, if you just looked up kind of the Amatec or the big blue housings, then you had maybe one micron filter and one carbon block filter with a softener. I think you'd be pretty much set. And maybe
Okay.
the softener would be the only one you would actually pay for. And then you could just do everything yourself where you just pick up Home Depot salt bags, the Morton salt bags, those are like $8 for a 40-pound bag, and you just did that on your own.
So now on the softener side, is that fairly cheap to install that system?
Yeah, normally because I'm not too familiar with the homes, we do more commercial side, but it will be your softener and a brine tank. That's going to be the two components to it. And then some people like to also have the filters as well. But I think you could, like a lot of the times, maybe the softener, I would get that installed. But for all the filter housings, you could pretty much get that off of Amazon. You just supply the materials and maybe have a plumber pop those in.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well,
I'll see what I can find that might be cheaper than this, because this just doesn't make to me, it's like I might as well just hold on to my money for 6 years and invest it in something that will give me a decent return, and just pay annually for because 4 units, I'm going to spend $4,000 on 4 filtration systems. Instead, I could spend next year $600, flush all the units, and then just have that be an annual expense, and I hold on to more of my capital for longer. And 5 years from now, I'm probably going to have done something good with it, I suppose, rather than all this extra fanciness. And obviously every one of these things has a chance to break. So
That was
maybe
exactly
just
what
keep
I
it
was
simple.
thinking.
Yeah.
I would go with the simplest thing, either do nothing or do the flushing, because you start adding stuff and then you got to maintain that stuff, and that stuff breaks too. So
You add another system, it's something else that can break.
yeah. So basically, just
Keep it simple, pay the money for the flush, and walk away from all this extra
because
complexity.
if you don't do anything, what you're going to be out, and
Yeah.
you could predict it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, we could
just do nothing and then let these units die when they die, whenever that is. And evidently, if I can replace them for $1,000, and I'm saving hundreds of dollars every year from not even flushing them, I suppose. So I could be really, really negligent if I wanted to.
Jeffrey, you're in Florida.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what type of water heater you got, but I had this argument with a family member that's in Florida, because I said that my water heater is a tankless, costs more than $1,000, and that the installation is another, I don't know, $500 to $700.
Right.
And my aunt was saying that her water heater was only like $200 or $300. And she's in Florida. So
Okay.
I was arguing with her like that's not possible. Because they're pretty complex. But I looked it up, and I guess it was. I don't remember. It's been several years since we had this argument. Because of the water temperature in Florida, it's mild. So the water heater it's not as expensive as the one that I use here in Washington. Is it maybe better to, like you were saying, the flash or not do anything, and then research about finding the cheaper water heaters that can be installed more inexpensively? Because it costs her
Yeah.
like $200 to buy it and $200 to install it. It was like super cheap.
Yeah, I think that's true, actually. I mean, that I did not understand that when we first faced this challenge, but it sounds like you're right. Like, Tankless heaters in the cold climates are probably more expensive because it has to be an upgraded version to deal with the cold water coming in. Ours don't. And evidently there's a range of prices for these units, and they're really not crazy expensive, $300, $200, $400, whatever. And then it's just the cost of labor for somebody to swap them out, basically. So yeah, I think bottom line is we just find ways to get cheap units and then decide how hefty we want to be on maintaining them, and then we just try to be lean and efficient with the whole thing.
Right.
And guys, by the way, I finally finished the knob and tube rewire. The guy finished early this week, and we paid him. Cost us about $6,500 all in, parts and labor. All of the exposed knob and tube in the attic has been completely replaced. And they gave us new Romex connected to all three boards in our triplex. So hallelujah, it's done. And we have an electrician that we're pretty happy with that is a lot cheaper than most of the competition. We ended up getting a wide variety of estimates, anywhere from the $6,500 guy to $31,000 for. Now, obviously, those are apples and oranges, right? They're like the $31,000 estimate is they want to do an absolute complete rewire, give us all new panels to get everything up to code, and install surge protection on the outside of the building, which evidently is code nowadays as well. So we didn't go in that direction, but it was quite an adventure.
Yeah, it's good. It sounds like you got everything done that you needed to for a really good price.
Yeah, we were just relieved, because when we first got that quote, the first quote we got from our go-to electricians was not to exceed 24,000. So that was some sticker shock there. And so going with this guy that we do trust, and he's done good work for us in the past, to make it more than 10,000 less than that, it's just like, really feels like we won the lottery, basically. So
The
yeah,
guy's making a
that's
ton of money anyways. Is he like an electrician, or is that more like a handyman?
Oh no, definitely like
Christian. They're licensed
Okay.
crew. Yeah. But here's what I discovered. I think we talked about this before. What I discovered was some of the electricians in our state, at least, when they do work, they do not bring everything up to code. They just do what they do less than what may be perfectly required, and they compete on price. And then a lot of these big box, fancy van electricians, they won't do that. They're like, look, if we're going to do this level of work for you, we are going to do everything according to the current code, because that's what we are held to. Like, we are expected to do that, and we're not going to deviate from that. So I think although the electrician we were working with is good and we trust him, he's he's flexible when it comes to following the exact rules. And so that's how he's able to say, I think that's part of, probably not the whole story, but part of why he's able to save us a ton of money, because there's things that he's not doing because he feels it's not essential, even though the code says different.
That makes sense. I just had electrical work done and a upgrade room that I had. And the guy that did it, works for a big company, but he was just doing it as a neighbor favor. And he said the same thing. He said, when I'm working with the company, you're supposed to do it a certain way. But if I'm doing it just on my own, I'm going to do it safe and as much as possible follow the code and know like what my limitations and everything are, but I'll be more flexible. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
Anyway, so that
was a nice conclusion to a rather concerning and long journey for us in terms of that triplex. That's really, I really think that's going to be our last big renovation
You just
event.
jinxed yourself.
what was that?
You just jinxed yourself. That's going to be our last big expense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll have other big expenses, but like just the way we think about like the renovation of that building. I mean, new roof, new metal roof, jacked up the foundation, treated the foundation, new sewer and drain lines. The only plumbing that's not new is the incoming water. All the drain lines are basically, completely reworked. We got the electric we just talked about, brand new panels, and brand new 2 new kitchens. The other one we left old, but it's perfectly good cabinetry and stuff. It's just retro, basically.
So you pretty much got it all there.
Brand new
HVAC. We installed three completely new HVAC units, and ducting, and all new water heaters as well. So I don't know what else there is to a house other than the sticks itself.
Yeah, the foundation, the roof, and all the major mechanicals, that takes care of a lot.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, we basically built a house.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it was already on a plot of land and there were walls and floors and stuff.
Well, good luck on that.
Yeah, sounds like it's going to work out just fine.
Yeah, well, it was expensive, no doubt about that. But let the healing begin, and
hope you got a good price on it.
We got. Well, I think we basically paid market for it, maybe even a little bit above. Now that we looked at our actual expense for renovating, but that was that was what 2020 that we bought it. So we were overly aggressive, but it was, in retrospect, if we look at our market, it was, in hindsight, the right move, even though, we probably did overpay. We've overpaid at the time, but it's worth more than what we got in it at this point. I would guess. Now we're going to refi out next year and find out exactly what it's going to appraise for. So that'll be another major landmark for us to figure out what the market actually does think this thing is worth. But I think we're going to be in the ballpark of a decent entry and decent income as well. I mean, we've got all 3 units rented. So
was that in Jacksonville?
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville. It's a place called Springfield, which is historic downtown, basically. And so it's an improving area. Probably over the next decade, we're going to continue to get reasonable rent appreciation, and we should see nice dividends coming from the 3 units that we've got in that building.
Yeah, and Michelle brought up a good point about the water heater cost. I know because you said that one was 8 years old, and And the way
Yeah.
things are going, yeah, with technology and everything, there probably will be some less expensive models when it's time to change those out. That'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really like what you guys are pointing at, which is just like count the money and keep it simple. Simplicity rather than complexity, and just watch the clock and see what happens versus throw a bunch of extra money and try to make all these geeky investments that don't necessarily predictably make it so that those units are going to live that much longer anyway.
Great. Anybody else have news this week or questions or anything? I think we actually will cut tonight a little bit short because I have my son's birthday today, so we're going to be celebrating with him, but we have a few more minutes before I need to cut out. You guys got anything, Chester? Lars?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Lars. I guess my update is we applied for a HELOC and the appraisal came in a little bit lower than I thought, but still, still good. Or they didn't do an appraisal. They just did a desktop and then said you can pay for an appraisal, but I'm getting more than enough on it to feel to kind of go with that. To go with the line amount. If I was doing a cash out, I'd probably pay for an appraisal to get the extra dollars, but yeah, and I think I'm finally starting to see potential deals in Delaware, which is very shocking to me. So with any luck, they'll stay there by the time I get this HELOC done, and a seller will be desperate enough to grab one. Yeah. But yeah, and then I interviewed for a new job today, so that would be that's probably top of the mind there. Yeah, it'd be a really nice job. It's the type of role I've been wanting to get for the last several years, so it'd be really nice to get. There's only so many of them in the market, so at a certain point, it's either you either move or you get lucky. You get lucky to stay or move, or just stay where you're currently at, type of thing. But yeah, that'd be my updates. Like I said, I don't know how other people are seeing, but I'm in a market that's a little bit more that's been a lot more competitive than what I hear as far as prices go. Like it's a lot more of a seller's market in the Northeast, and so it's nice to finally see maybe one or two deals that have potential to where they're staying on the market long enough to where I can put in an offer that makes sense to me. So once I get this HELOC closed, if they're still out there, then I will. So
yeah, that's great. Good luck on the job. I was going to ask on the HELOC that you were going for, was that I guess a conventional process? Because we just were applying for one and it was all automated and it was really difficult to there was a couple of numbers that we wanted to adjust and we couldn't do it because we couldn't reach anybody easily.
Oh, interesting. So mine was with the local credit union, but it's First Tech Federal, so they focus on the states that have a lot of technology, so they have a lot of tech jobs. So Delaware is one of those, and then so they're all over the country, but they're not in every state. They're probably in like 20 states. Oregon, Washington, Ohio, Delaware. I'm sure they're in Texas, whatever. But for them, they have two. I went. It is a conventional where I went into the branch. Where I deposit money. The branch I deposit cash for them. I already had the HELOC and it's on an investment property, and they'll go up to 80% combined loan to value. But I asked to increase it, and it's interesting that a year or two I was told, no, we can't do that. Once we have it, if you want to increase it, you're gonna have to refi out. And then I don't know if I just talked to the wrong person a year ago or whatever it may be, but this year they're like, oh yeah, we can potentially do that. Just know you're gonna have to pay some fees. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. But they do a desktop valuation, and so the fees you're only really paying for is kind of their underwriting fee and then a recording and title fee. So it comes out to be like $1,100 total for me. And if you want to dispute their desktop valuation, that's when you have to pay for the appraisal. And then they'll actually hire an appraiser, and then whatever he says is what it is.
Mhm.
The value. So they're doing desktop from the way they told me it was from, probably from Zillow and Redfin and so forth. My guess is they'll probably go on there and just seeing recent sales and guess, and just put in a number on that, which in Delaware can actually lead to the wrong type of valuation. And the reason why is because in Delaware in particular, people don't say, I live in the northwest part of town or the southwest. They go, I live in this development, I live in the Harmony Woods development, or I live in the Upper Pike Creek development, or I live in the Brandywine development. So that kind of thing. And so what the result of that is, whatever neighborhood, whatever development your house is in, if it's middle class, it's staying middle class. It's been middle class for the last 50 years. It's going to be middle class for the next 100 years. And this, there's not too much. It's really hard to genderify in that, because you just have families that just stay in those, you have the same type of families that stay in those neighborhoods. They really like that neighborhood for, that development, that neighborhood, whatever. So there's a lot less of Mr. Millionaire in Ohio or Oregon or something like that moving in and then making all the prices go up, 100% in 1 year. Doesn't mean prices don't go up, but when they go up, it's, yeah, I remember being in the cab just saying, yeah, I live in Harmony Woods. Like, okay, I'll just drive you to Harmony Woods. And then they go, okay, what house? I didn't even tell them the address. I just said, take me to Harmony Woods. And that was just how, that was how it was. Same thing. So anyways, that's the interesting thing about Delaware. So when you get to that, 3 miles from that development might be a lower class neighborhood, right? It might be a C- neighborhood. And then, 4 miles over in whatever, in the Brandywine development, that's an A+ neighborhood, or 5 miles over. So that's where I can see how somebody from Oregon or Texas or whatever just said, okay, the comps, or what's close, oh, here's one 3 miles away and it would close for this much per square foot or whatever it may be. So that's where I can see how, if I was really going for top dollar, I would pay for an appraiser. Because I could probably I would imagine I could probably pay for an appraisal and have it appraised for 20, 30 more than what they put it at.
Got it. Yeah. They, so we were working with the lender and we were talking about a HELOC, and he sent us a link, and we're learning that this process, the HELOC was what they called blockchain based. And so we just go through the application process, and apparently it's fairly new. There were a couple of this one was called Figure, and the other one was a company called Movement, but we just had to Google it because, we weren't even sure that it was a real thing, except for our lender, sent us the link for the application, but it was different.
Yeah, mine was definitely more traditional, where it is a link, but upload the statements, all that stuff. And then I get an email from them, say, okay, this is what we have, this valuation, this is what your credit score came in at, whatever. Kind of like what you would expect.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Chester, did you have a question?
It wasn't really a question. I don't know. Jason is still on, but Jason and I were on the Zoom call with Donato from Bright Investor. I don't know whether this was something that Zuber had already put out in terms of the lineup or whether this was just like an open invitation. But that was one of the things that we had mentioned to him about, like, we just happened to get on the topic of, quote unquote, doing the work. And he just kind of was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You guys are doing you guys are having a meetup in Vegas. And I was like, yeah, we were, going to be meeting President's Day weekend. So basically Valentine's Day through President's Day or whatever. And he was like, oh, yeah, I've got to get back to Zuber about showing up. And so we were like, yeah, if you can make it, definitely. Yeah. So he may be one of the, I don't know if he's going to be one of the speakers, potentially, of course, because, again, he's got the platform of Bright Investor. But so it might be a little bit of a sneak preview of one of the potential guest speakers.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah. It was nice when he did the presentation for us. Very informative. I was talking to somebody today, actually Aaron Amin. He's in school, and I had an interview with him a few weeks ago, but he was showing me a little bit about the Deal Check Pro, and they were analyzing some properties. I'm going to dig into that a little bit more because it had some great options, a lot of things I didn't know about, and they have a video. I guess their main guy did a presentation for them in the Remote Real Estate Academy.
Yeah, so does everybody also have the, I don't know if it's like brother or sister site, whatever you want to call it, Rentcast? Does everybody have that? Because it automatically, if you put in info, like give it a similar Rentometer, but if you give it, a property, indicate, single family, multifamily, apartment, whatever, and then beds and baths. I don't know if the free version gives you granularity in terms of a look back and a radius, but I know the pro version does. But like, if you did it like the Black Friday deal, it's like, I don't know, $120 a year. So basically $10 a month or something like that. It might still be available. I'll put the Rentcast link in there in a second. But when you had mentioned Dealcast, it like literally was like, wait a minute. I know I've seen Deal Check before. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it sounds like, you can just put your information into Rentcast to get the granular rental information, and then that can flow into Deal Check.
Okay. Yeah. So I gave him an address on one of our St. Louis properties, and he did the Rentcast. He checked Rentometer. Rentometer. And then one thing that I was surprised with on the Deal Check was when they were analyzing the property and ran their preliminary numbers, and the return came out like a 1.8% cash on cash return, but then it also gave them what their offer should be depending on what kind of return they were looking for. So I thought that was pretty cool. So for example, this property was 149 at a 1.8 cash on cash return, and then if he had specified, say he wanted a 10% cash on cash return, then it would have had an optional offer for him to submit. And that one came in at like 134 or something like that. So they said there's a lot of other features that are pretty valuable. So I'm going to take a peek.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Definitely sounds like it would be very worthwhile. So I will put in the two links, the one for Rentcast and then the one for Deal Check. But yeah, that's those are the updates, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. So, still, of course, looking for properties. Thought there was a potential quadplex that could be available, but like it that's just ridiculously overpriced and in an area where the rents don't support it, and it's declining population, and there's a bunch of crimes or poverty related crimes like welfare fraud and theft and robbery and stuff like that. So I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
make the biggest decision.
you've been finding some interesting ones to look at. That's been cool. I think Kevin, you popped in a little bit late. How are you doing? I was just saying we're going to cut tonight a little bit short. Did you have any questions or any updates? What time are you going live, Mark?
Hey, sorry about that. Trying to
Oh,
find the unmute button. I was like,
good
what's
to,
going on
good to
here?
see you.
Yeah, no, no real updates, I guess. We're still searching. Well, we do have a potential property that we might look into at this stage, and so we're the seller's motivated. I think that they priced the property a little too high. But it's been on the market for about 45 days or so.
Okay.
And we're looking into doing the ADU play. So, yeah, that's sort of where it's at right now. I just talked to the seller actually recently. I talked to the agent first. The agent seemed like he was happy that he got some traction on it. And then he had sent over the seller's information to talk, because the seller is actually a contractor, and he's doing some investing down there in San Diego too. So, yeah, that's the latest so far.
Oh,
I think
nice.
we're gonna
That's a good lead. That's in San Diego, right?
yes. We put in a bid prior on a property that was a fixer at 850. We went over for that property at $1 million, and they, I guess, signed with someone else for like 1.2 or so. That was the last property that we were looking into. So, property has a lot of potential, but yeah, a little too pricey for us to go after that. Seems like San Diego is still a competitive market, for the most part. So,
Yeah, I think most of California is, and up here where we're at,
oh yeah,
it's
still is.
still crazy. Yeah.
I think I was just listening to some stats, and I think in the Bay Area, I think we're still above listing. A lot of California right now is like just a tick under listing price, like at 97 to 99% price to sale ratio. But yeah, I think right now is just sort of the slow period, so we're going hunting.
Yeah, nice. And it's nice that you at least are getting a response for the one that you're looking at now.
Oh yeah. I think he was okay. I think he was trying to play hardball a little bit. Sorry, I got the dog barking right now.
That's okay.
I'm gonna walk. But I think he was trying to play hardball a little bit and say, oh well, if I was just a month late with my listing, so come January, this property would be sold, and I'm like, okay, sure.
I'm
sure that's just how everyone else is too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll see. Any of the properties that we buy, I think, are just going to be an alligator unless we put like an enormous amount down. But I think that, once the ADUs are in place, it should cash flow. Come on. Hey, let's go.
Yeah, that's have you gotten, I don't know if I asked you this last time, but have you gotten to the point where you've checked in with the building and planning departments to see if they have any, I guess they would be like a pre-approved ADU plans?
They do for sure.
Oh.
Yes. I don't know how those are with rentals, or I guess how they compare with rentals. Oftentimes, we, at least from what we're looking into, we're looking to try to maxing out the lot, for the most part.
Okay.
So we're looking at like building essentially 1,200 square foot for the ADU, you know, a 3.2 or so, just to maximize the rent potential. But yeah.
And those pre-approved ones aren't that large, are they? They would be more like a 1 bedroom studio.
Yeah, they have studios, 1-1s, I think, and 2-1s. So, you know, it could be like 800 square feet or so, 750. But I think I mean, I think they do have a bunch of set ones. But I've been hearing that we might get some good legislation passed, or some legislation that are already passed for faster, like expedited permit times. So that's just, I'm just trying to keep up with all the goodies going on with it.
Yeah, there's a lot and that's nice if they're trying to help that process, because I mean, holding costs and things like that are
no, exactly.
bad enough.
So we'd be looking at like a 6-month, at least initially. Right now, we're looking at a 6-month time to get the permit, you know, and then we'd have additional cost for the actual build, and it's going to take another 5 to 6 months for the full build. So it's going to be a full year essentially, until we get the ADUs in place. But that's it so far. Made some contacts down in San Diego, and that's sort of just what I've been doing. I'm actually going to fly down there next week to go see some properties and check out some ADUs, and I have an appointment here in the Bay Area in Redwood City to see an ADU, a modular ADU, so essentially like a mobile, or a manufactured home, done by Joe Gebbia, the guy that did Airbnb. So apparently he started a breakoff company.
Okay. Were you around for that conversation? There's some ADU company that was in Vegas. A couple of the people went to go tour the facility. Does anybody remember the name of that place?
Interesting. I don't think I was here for that conversation.
Sierra and her friend went to go check it out. Oh, Boxable. I think it's called Boxable.
Ah, no, I have not.
With the modular house, modular, I forget, the modular housing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
interesting. I'll look into them too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to have to run. Sorry, Sam, you got here a little bit late. We're cutting it a little bit short tonight. I'm going to go celebrate my son's birthday. So he's getting old. He's getting really old. He's 30 today. So thank you guys for the birthday wishes.
Enjoy your
birthday.
son and with Cynthia.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, happy birthday to Frank Jr.
Yeah, my sequel. He's trouble. Okay, you guys.
So it's just real quick before you go, has he given any thought to trying to get into investing, or is it, he's got other plans?
I currently own a property in Gary, Indiana, with my parents. I get half the rent.
Hey, stop editing me out of the videos.
Yeah, he actually put the down payment. We got the turnkey in Gary, and he put the down payment, and we're splitting the equity and everything. So
nice.
Yeah, he's been on this journey with us since the beginning, and he probably knows more than I do now. So hopefully he'll take it over soon, and I don't have to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, maybe it'll be kind of a deal like where what was it? where Dion was saying he was going to sell or finance the whole portfolio over to Millennial Mike. So you never know.
Yeah, that's it. Then we'll just collect the dividends.
There you
New
go.
YouTube, young guy REI.
Yeah.
Young guy REI. Nice.
Yeah, Mark always complains because Frank's my editor and he's been editing most of everything Mark says because Mark just comes in to make trouble for us. So I think last week though, Mark, you got several minutes in there, so you'll have to watch that one.
I know. Sometimes I gotta be serious when I come here. I can't be goofing around all the time.
I was telling my mom that they give you the short end of the stick because they kind of set you up for, oh great, here's Mark, and you didn't even say anything yet. So then you kind of have to be funny.
Why it gotta be the short end?
Yeah.
This
Okay.
Frank. No,
Yeah,
never mind.
He's here. He's
Yeah.
behind me.
Anyway, you guys
All right.
enjoy.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoy. Go,
Yeah.
go
Happy
have you guys
birthday.
fun.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
happy birthday, guys.
Yeah, happy
Thanks,
birthday.
guys.
Enjoy your dinner.
We'll see you next week.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Frank. See you guys later.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you.